So yesterday, the Ottawa Senators defeated the Montreal Canadiens. And you don't need me to tell you that, because if you're a Canadiens fan, firstly, you know that. Not only just because you might have watched a game, or even if you didn't watch the game, you know what happened, because Habs fans have been absolutely melting down lately. We're making a video about that later today, by the way. But secondly, you know about this game because if you're a Sens fan, you've been watching the games and being very happy with some of the rookies and some of the players on your squad in general. One of the guys who's doing really well right now, hey, it's Josh Norris. The guy came out here against Montreal the other day, scored himself a goal, and now if you take a look at the NHL stat leaders, Josh Norris is tied with Kirill Kaprizov for first in the league in rookie points. And my gosh, if you take a look at this guy, Chris Tierney, Tim Stutzle, and you combine these players into a package of value, it's so easy to take a look at that Erik Karlsson trade from a few years ago and see that the Ottawa Senators are just getting the better and better end of the stick of that deal. What is up, viewer out there watching this video? Like Rocks back here, and today we're talking about the Erik Karlsson trade once again, in what seems to be an annual update video that we make about this trade, and we talk about how it's been so piss poor for the San Jose Sharks. Now, I'll say this before we get into any of these discussions. Yes, I know the problem with Erik Karlsson is not really a problem, it's just he's always been a what if. What if Erik Karlsson was healthy the entire time? What if he didn't have these injuries that held him back and kind of stopped him from being the best defender in the world? Because it was just a few years ago that Erik Karlsson was out here over a point per game as a defenseman, was on top of the world when it came to being a hockey defender, and was seen by many as one of the most valuable pieces, if not the most valuable piece, in the NHL on the blue line. So when the Ottawa Senators traded Erik Karlsson away in a package that I said back in 2018 September was a crazy underpayment for the San Jose Sharks, acquiring Josh Norris, Chris Tierney, Rudolph Balzers, who is not on the team anymore, and the draft pick that ultimately became Tim Stutzle, there was just no competition in my mind. I was like, wow, okay, the San Jose Sharks absolutely fleeced the Sens in this deal. Now, granted, a few years later, I made a video talking about why I was wrong, why Erik Karlsson was not all that was hyped up to be, because even though he did sign a big contract extension with that San Jose Sharks squad, the value he brought to this team was nowhere near the same amount of value that he brought to the Sens when they went to the finals in 2017, for example, and it was nowhere near the same amount of value that he brings to the Sharks based off of the contract and the dollar signs that he is making. Now, for the Ottawa Senators, however, things are getting a lot better as the days go on. Because Josh Norris, as we noted, he's out here 11 points on the season, 4 goals, 7 assists in 20 games played. He's at half a point a game as a guy who's brand new in the NHL on the Ottawa Senators of all teams, and he's only 21 years old. Does that not sound great for Ottawa Senators fans looking forward into the future? You guys thought Colin White and Brady Tkachuk were the only guys you had over here? Nah, you got Josh Norris in the system now, helping you guys out in the short term, and he's going to be out here helping you guys out in the long term too. Tim Stutzle, Jimmy, is out here with 9 points in 17 games. He's also at half a point a game, and he's 18 years old. This guy's already proven himself off as a dynamic NHL caliber guy who, if he was playing on any other team, he probably would have a lot more points than just 9 and 17, and I get that opportunity plays into it as well. If he was on another team, he might not have gotten the same opportunities. For example, Quinton Byfield is in the AHL, I'm pretty sure, and Alexis Lafreniere's a guy who has been deployed very weirdly by the New York Rangers coaching staff. So, Stutzle, I get it, opportunity plays into it for sure, but still, he's doing really well, and he's a guy who definitely does belong in this league. And he was the unprotected pick that the San Jose Sharks gave up in 2020 that probably should have been a lower draft pick than 3rd overall. It's just we didn't really predict in 2018 September that by the time 2019-20 rolled around, the Sharks would be one of the worst teams in the league. And it's so unfortunate because Erik Karlsson is out here not really being the force that people saw that he was with Ottawa that's keeping the Sharks away from being one of the worst teams in the league. Right now, at the time of this recording, Erik Karlsson has 4 points in 13 games. He's got 4 4. And you have Tim Stutzle, who's at 9 in 17 games. He's doubled Erik Karlsson's production. And you have Josh Norris, who's at 11 points in 20 games. He's tripled Erik Karlsson's production. Not to mention Chris Tierney, who is still on this team, still doing his thing, and he's out here with a very respectable 8 points in 20 games. Now, I don't want to make it seem like Chris Tierney is the be-all and end-all, or that Tim Stutzle is, I don't know, the next gift from the heavens. That's not really what I'm trying to say here. I'm just trying to say that the value of everything combined, even if you take away Rudolph Balzers, it's so funny how just year after year, this trade is getting worse for the Sharks. You know, San Jose is second last in the West Division right now. They're actually tied for third last with Minnesota, but Minnesota has games in hand. You know, games have been suspended over there in the West, so things have been kind of weird. But the Sharks also have the most goals against every team in the West Division. Isn't Erik Karlsson supposed to be a guy that keeps you away from that territory? Remember when Karlsson got traded to San Jose and everybody was like, oh, Burns and Karlsson, two of the best defenders in the league, playing beside each other. It's going to be deadly. And now, 3 years later, well, 2.5 years later, it's really not. And I hate to say that. It sucks. You always want good players to play well, right? It certainly sucks. As a guy who is honestly kind of pity cheering for the Ottawa Senators, to see a guy in Erik Karlsson who was so good, so on top of the world like 4 years ago, go from that to now. Because if you take a look at it, it was just a few years ago Erik Karlsson was out there getting 62 points in 71 games on the Senators. The year before, 40 points, 56 games, just under a point per game, a little bit under a point per game with the San Jose Sharks in 2019-20. This year, though, 4 points, 13 games. The Sharks in general not really having a winning record. Logan Couture's out here getting points. Evander Kane's getting points too. Brent Burns is at 7 points in 16 games, so that's okay. Mario Ferraro is outscoring Erik Karlsson. Yeah, that's the direction we're taking this video. Even though a bulk of the stuff that the Sens got, Dylan DeMello, Rudolph Balzers, they're not on the team anymore. Just the assets they do have. It's crazy. Like, they're so valuable in terms of the Ottawa Senators gameplay already, and you know that Josh Norris and Stutzle are going to be good players for this team going into the long-term future too. These guys aren't one-trick ponies. They're going to stick around for a while. And for a Sharks team that might be on the verge of rebuilding because they're losing out on all their old guys, you guys lost Jumbo Joe in the offseason, Patrick Marleau's bouncing around from team to team, who knows what happens with him. You already lost Joe Pavelski earlier, and now you're still one of the worst teams in the West. Would a good prospect or two or a top 3 pick seem like the right thing for the Sharks to have in this timeline? Well, sorry, but you guys gave that up to Ottawa in a trade that I thought you guys absolutely won. But with hindsight in the bag, oh boy, no, you guys lost very badly. And it's looking even worse the better Stutzle, Norris, and Tierney, to some extent, are playing for the Ottawa Senators. And by the time Tim Stutzle is out here as one of the top, most dynamic players in the league, with Norris as another guy up there in the top 6, playing alongside of Brady Tkachuk and Colin White and Logan Brown. You guys have Shabbat on the blue line with Bernard Docker and Lassie Thompson and Jake Sanderson. Once this team becomes good again, I just hope that Erik Karlsson is still in the league at that point. Which, I mean, he probably should be. He's got a huge contract, right? He probably should be in the league still at that point. 2027 expiration date at $11.5 million. Oh, that's such a big contract, man. So, you know, I'm kind of done talking about this. You know, I feel kind of bad because I went this far. Talk to me in the comments what you think about the Erik Karlsson trade once again. This is like the 3rd video we've made about it, but you know what? It's so funny how lopsided it's becoming all those years later. But you know what? Talk to me in the comments either way. I hope you enjoyed this video /99, and bye.